Hey guys, welcome back. Just got another Project F video for you. So today my plan is to get the subframe, basically the old K-member off, transfer over all these parts into the new Spohn Performance. I'm just going to call it Spohn from now on. It's spelled like this, S-P-O-H-N. So I'm going to call it Spohn. I mean, it could be pronounced Spawn. Doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start with just probably moving some of this stuff out of the way so I can get to it. I've already done this once with Vince's Trans Am's K-member when he was swapping over to the BMR K-member when we were doing the 408 stroker swap. So it's pretty straightforward. I think I'm just going to start with removing the sway bar here. Once the sway bar is removed, I actually might even just remove the wheels first, just get this kind of on the ground. Then we'll be able to remove the whole control arm and strut as kind of like one unit, since it's not being, I mean, I guess I could remove this just for ease of grabbing stuff, but nah, it'd be easier just keep it as one unit and just bolt it onto the new subframe. I'll have to search around here for the hardware that was included. I don't see where that is, so that's good. And then yeah, transfer motor mounts and everything. That way we can just be done with this part, and then once we focus on the engine build part, we could just do that and swap it right on. Also wanted to remind you guys to like the video, helps it get out, subscribe to the channel, definitely helps out the channel grow that way. If you'd like to support us another way, we have Patreon. You get early access to videos if I remember to post them. You leave a super thanks, and yeah, let's get back to the video. One other note before we continue, the welder, just doing some more practice welds. GoPro does not do a really good job at showing it, but I did weld this together. Huge issues, like I've explained to you guys before, where I'll go ahead and go to start it because this is advertised as a lift torch. So you touch it and you lift it off, but it doesn't, and it touches it, and then it gets stuck to the metal, and then you're just dragging the metal across, or, you know, it's just really not good. So everywhere online, like I mentioned, is advertised as a lift TIG torch, and for this unit here, and I'm talking with the seller right now. Let's see if, you know, this is how it's intended to work, or if there's something wrong with our actual unit. A lot of people, and it makes sense, a lot of people are saying this is like a scratch start because it's always on. There's no pedal, there's no button, so you touch it to it, it just arcs. Same thing as like the stick welder. Polarities are set right on this, there's no issue with that. It's operating as intended, just welds itself to it. So we're seeing if it needs a new torch itself, or if it's something wrong with the machine. Yeah, we'll figure that out, I guess. But can't really, well, I mean, for the exhaust part, it probably wouldn't be super bad, but obviously just not ideal. We don't want to weld it to it and just mess up the tungsten, and a lot of complications with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the subframe. Alright guys, did a lot of just moving stuff around. Have the subframe right here. I'm going to start by taking the sway bar off. That connects both control arms to each other. Then I'm going to disconnect the control arm, which is one bolt right here, and then there's one that's just hiding under there. Once that's off, I'll be able to pull this off entirely. Probably have the wheel off at that point, just so I don't have to maneuver this whole wheel all around. And then I'll be able to get the steering rack, motor mounts, and that's really all there is on this on the subframe, so it'll go by pretty quickly. Jesus. Knock you guys over. Yeah, without that wheel kind of supporting it, just gonna tip over. But I actually might just leave it like this, just so there's easier access to what I need to get at. You can see These are going to be 21 mil, I believe, or 7/8. And yeah, and then just the 12 or 13 mil for the sway bar. And then we'll move it on over. So it looks like I need to take off the steering rack because the bolt is just hitting it. Can't go any farther, so I'm gonna unbolt the steering rack from right here. And actually reminds me, definitely need to remove the tie rod. That's definitely going to make it so I can't remove this at all. So I'm gonna go do that. Surprisingly, these inner tie rods, dang, they're stiff. I mean, I can move it around, but like it holds itself up. Like, even, I mean, this one is completely blown, the outer tie rod, but inner is like, it's still stiff, it'll hold itself up. That's actually pretty interesting. We'll definitely want to replace these because they're just toasted, but now that we have that off, I'm going to unbolt right under here. There should be a nut on the other side. Might just be able to zip it off from up here, and then I'll just move this forward, giving me the access to move that bolt. And then we can take this control arm off. There we go. Definitely want to put this nut on the bolt that came off of. There we are. And there we go. Oh, it's so heavy with the rotor and everything on it, but there it is. Whew. The driver's side strut is off now. So now we just got to do the passenger side, same thing. Just the 213s for the sway bar. The steering rack is a 15 and an 18 mil. And then 221 mils for the lower control arms. They'll come off. Of course, also need to take off the wheel, but we're very close to having it on this guy. Alright guys, got the both control arms off, as well as the steering rack on this thing is disconnected. All we have left are these brake lines, which we'll just need to bolt onto the new suspension here. Thinking about how I'm going to do this, probably will orientate it in the same way right here. I'll just strip the rest of the last pieces off of this thing, move over the motor mounts, as well as the brake lines, and from there, just have it there. Basically do the opposite of that, of what I just did. Just at that point need to get the lower control arms bolted in, get the sway bar on, get the tie rods on, and I mean that's really it. Then we'll have a full completed front end, then we'll be ready for the motor. But really it doesn't take long to do something like this outside the car, obviously. Inside the car, it'd be a bit, you know, more time sensitive. So I'm going to go ahead and start moving over the rest of the hardware and get it onto the Spohn subframe. Alright guys, I went ahead and I took the motor mounts off the old one. So here they are. Driver and passenger side are different. And also particularly for this kit, if you're using a 93 to 95 motor versus a 9602, the bolt placement is important. So we're going to go ahead and it says just bolt it up like so. That bolt hole goes to the top left. There we go. Oh, looks a little bit better. do something like that. They included this new hardware. This is a 17 mil side, and this is a 15 mil. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the nut through there like that, hold it, and blast it with the impact. Alright guys, that was weird with the install, I guess. I mean, it is custom, right? But following this for the passenger side, it seems like it puts it at a crooked angle. I don't know if that is how it's supposed to be. I can just double check up there. This one seems fine. But that is on where those are the only bolt locations that would actually fit. I turned it all the way around and did not see anything. Might just double check some photos. It actually does look like, yeah, no, I had something right here. That was just an extra little bit that went in there. You know, unless it was flipped upside down, but no, that is not how that should work. I'm gonna review some footage and make sure I didn't accidentally flip it over. But that is now on. We can go ahead and start putting the control arms on, getting those bolted up, and finishing out here. Alright guys, did some more looking into it, and I was not satisfied with how that was bolting up. As you can see, there is a nut that is off this side, and if you were to put it on here, that's what offsets it, because that side sits flat, that side is pushed back by the nut. If you look how it was bolted up previously, it had these two holes like that, and it wasn't even touching anything. This was for like a ground. So I'm gonna chop this bolt off with the angle grinder and probably just hog out that hole a little bit so we can put the actual good grade 8 hardware that was included with the kit. Just not mention in the kit that this needs to happen, which I mean, some might not even be a problem. This particular motor mount there is. So this is just a stock motor mount for Camaro, so we're gonna go ahead and cut this off. Now guys, with that nut angle grinded off, it sits completely flush. This looks much better to how it should be, so we're gonna go ahead and leave that there. I'm gonna move over the steering rack. I already got the brake line up here and bolted in. It's nice that it has a provision for bolting up on this side. We're gonna go ahead and just continue with this. Like I said, just get the steering rack in, get the control arms in, and then bolt everything all up, get the wheels on, and then we'll be done. All right, guys, we're finally done. Not sure how much not sure how much of my struggle I left in the video during editing, but we have our completed cross member now, just for that engine right there. We got the Spohn Performance K-member on. It is much lighter than it was before. I mean, I can lift up one side easily by myself, and just provide so much more room for you know, turbo activities and whatnot. So huge upgrade. I'm glad Tristan decided to pick this one up before we continued with the rest of the build here. It'll just be so nice to have this motor on here. So hey guys, I had to switch over to the iPhone. We ran out of space on the GoPro because we just did so much time lapsing. So good that you guys get to see, you know, the whole progress of doing the whole thing, I guess. So not a big deal. What I was saying was things that weren't so great with the Spohn Performance K-member. It looks like the steering rack bolts where you put the nut at the bottom, the nut is too big. It comes, there's like the bar and then the plate that comes off of it and the bolt that goes through. There's not enough clearance with the bolt all the way in to get the nut on there. You're gonna have to have the nut on the bottom of the plate and then thread it from the top, and then it'll suck it up. I guess can't really show you, but there's a nut under here and you can see the bar. Just when it's all the way down, there's not enough room to get that nut on the bolt. But I mean, not the biggest thing in the world. You just have to be aware of that. Trying to get these bushings or the control arms in, that was kind of a struggle, just doing it by myself. But I made it work just with some angles and moving the K-member and a dead blow mallet. So that worked too. Got all these sway bars are always really annoying because it's recessed. It's not like the thing comes all the way down there, so you have to have a socket in there to hold it, and it goes all the way through. I'm not sure if this is an aftermarket K-member. There is something on here. It's like CAR or CAD, K-A-D, and there is a part number on there. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, our motor mounts look great on here. Steering racks on here. Coil or struts and everything's all good. There's a lug nut over there. I lost two for this set. I'll just have to put those on, but not a big deal. Overall, not that hard. It's just, I mean, there's some things you have to figure out, I guess. Well, guys, we completed the Spohn Performance K-member right here. It is completely done, ready to go for the motor to go in. Just wanted to knock it out, get it done so we can focus on the engine build and then get the K-member and motor, drivetrain, everything back into Project F so we can continue with that build. So definitely leave a like on this video. Worked real hard for this just by myself here in the garage. Subscribe to the channel, a lot more content on Project F coming. So be sure to subscribe and we'll see you in the next video.